Give the people these instructions too, so that no one may be open to blame. If anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially his immediate family, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Guys, welcome back to the Radical Faith channel. We are in the living room this time instead of the whole dining room office in the other part of the house. If you notice, my beautiful wife is sitting here this time, and I am not alone in the dark, which is very nice. We wanted to, we have 3 kids now, a 4-year-old, a 2.5-year-old, and a 2.5-month-old.
It'll be months on
3 months on the 23rd, 3/23/23. We wanted to just start a video series that talks about the common situations that every family goes through, especially Christian families, what they face and how we as a family address those things and how we're learning even further to address those things. We just want to take the time to talk about scripture, how we can apply the appropriate principles and the context from the Bible to our lives, so that this will just be a place to talk. We can answer questions. We can make a whole community of Christian families together, growing for the sake of our own families, and to share the little bit of insight that we're gaining as we grow with you. And hopefully it's helpful.
Yeah, and just being completely vulnerable. This is my first time on this camera, so I'm probably going to read a lot of notes, but that's just how I am. So here we go. It's important that we ourselves and our families continue to grow throughout our lives. And I don't think any of us will ever reach a point where we're like, wow, I know everything. No, we continue to learn, we continue to read the Bible, and we learn from those around us. So taking time to share our stories and our failures and our success, and then discussing and reading scripture ourselves, is really just to encourage people and hopefully others to do the same, because I think we all need help and we all need insight into something, but we also all have insight to share.
Yeah. So we have several topics. Just generally, I'm sure the list will continuously grow. We want to talk about restoring a biblical household. I think a lot of that has just been societally pushed to the side. We want to instill biblical value in our children, not just sending them off for everyone else to train them in whatever way that they think is right. How marriage is supposed to look, how marriage is described and depicted in the household, in the Bible, from God, and each other's roles, and dealing with the world. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, we want to read scripture and see how that applies to these everyday situations that we face.
And there's the almost 3-month-old. Forget her. So we're going to give you an example of what things are going to look like and what we're doing with this podcast, or whatever you want to call it, that we're making right now. For example, we have started playing Hi Ho Cheerio with the kids, because I think the age is 2 or 3 to start that. It's a fun game. But Hudson, our 4-year-old, gets so angry and upset when he's not winning Hi Ho Cheerio. Just loses his mind, crying. He wants to win, so you have to keep on telling him. But I'm going to read 1 Corinthians 9, 24 through 26. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. Everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever.
Yeah, so when this was happening, we're talking about it. There's several times we've played it where he's freaked out, but there was one specific instance where it just kind of went too far. And I knew that if I didn't discipline him, I would not be doing what's best for him. So that's what I did. And he did much better after that. But what would have happened if I didn't discipline him? Well, he would have continued to yell and probably gotten much louder, much more upset. And then I would have had to yell over him. So then everybody's yelling, and that's not a healthy environment. And also, he wouldn't learn to understand that there are actual consequences to his actions. So if you act like this as you grow, the consequences just get worse as you get older. If we don't handle this while he's still young.
This is Presley, by the way. She likes to be held. Okay, so let's go to Proverb, Tom Trial, 13:4. He who spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is careful to discipline him. And then the amp is, he who withholds the rod of discipline hates his son, but he who loves him disciplines and trains him diligently and appropriately.
Yeah, so, the world wants to tell you that you're not loving your child when you discipline them, and that all that they need is more love, hugs, kisses, stuff like that. But really, which they do need that, but in this situation, he needed discipline, which was love. Like, we love Hudson so much that we're willing to be uncomfortable ourselves and make him uncomfortable just for a few minutes, so that we can help him understand that there is a reality in this world, that there is a standard of living according to Scripture, and if you don't at least attempt to walk in it, then there are real consequences. Galatians 6:7, do not be deceived. God is not mocked, for whatever one sows, that he will reap. So if Hudson learns that he can just sow whatever he's feeling at the moment, but we shield him from those consequences, then he won't learn. But if we show him the truth that's in Galatians and everywhere in the Bible, really, that what you sow, you will reap, then he will grow an understanding of that. That, hey, if there's a reality that if I sin in this way, then there will be consequences. Maybe not now, but eventually. And ultimately, everyone will get the consequence who isn't with Jesus on Judgment Day. But anyway, yeah.
So this doesn't happen overnight. It's not easy. You're not just going to miraculously have a better child. You can't rush it. You can't beat yourself down that you're a horrible parent. If you mess up, you're not a horrible parent. You're a person like everybody else in a fallen world. And that's why we need Jesus to redeem us. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and we hope it's helpful. But please leave a question, send a question, anything you want to mention or talk about, any way that it can be helpful in this new community. And you need to be reading this all the time. Send your questions. Thank you for watching. We love you. See you next time.